Hello everyone, Neodline here and welcome back to the Edain mod. Today I'm going to be ranking all of Sauron's leveling quests, his expansion of power. So before I get into this, let me explain what the expansion of power is. You get it as a little tooltip in the power section where it gives you all of them in a quick little list. But you can also get a more detailed overview of the expansion of power through the citadel of any fortress. As you can see, I've completed all of them except for this one because I am not grinding to get to a tier 4 power. But other than that, I will be going. I'll be going over every single one, showing how I have completed it and how I rank the difficulty of completing these quests from A to D, similar to what I did with the unique faction mechanics. Anyway, let's begin. Our first expansion of power is Recruit a Nazgul, which can be any of the Nazgul you see in front of you. It can be either of our 1400 Nazgul, the Dark Marshal or the Shadow Lord. It could be the Witch King, it could be Khamul from their Outposts, or it could be even the Black Riders, all 5 of them. They all count as recruiting a Nazgul, and that is a free level for Sauron. Super easy, you're always going to do it, you always want at least one Nazgul because they're really good. A tier, super easy to do, and super priority to get done. Should be the first or second one you get done, just because it's so simple. Next we have build an outpost. Another quite simple one, but not as simple as just going to your citadel in your base, clicking a button and congratulations you got a level. With this you have to be a bit more strategic. You need to find an outpost. You can either build the Minas Morgul, Dol Guldur, or the generic free build plot outpost. All of them will give you the level. The only problem is, sometimes on most maps they are protected by creeps that you have to kind of fight through. In, for example, the map Fords of Eisen, you had to fight a troll to be able to get the outpost. Some maps they give it to you straight away, but it's also either an expensive investment in getting a military outpost, or going for the more economic choice of the free tier outpost. But either way, you have to put a bit more investment into this. It's not quite as easy. It's going to be one of the first ones you complete if you want to rush an outpost. Just get some economy rolling. That's perfectly good. That's what I do quite a few times on maps that have undefended outposts. So I would give this one a B. Not quite an A. It's not as easy, but you can sometimes avoid it for like the first 15 minutes of a game. I'd say any later than that, and you should already have an outpost by then. If not, then you've already probably won. Next we have get a tier 4 power, either Power of Past Ages or Hammer of the Underworld. Now these aren't exactly difficult to get because you just get them from progressing the game, but you're not. Sometimes you might not want to go for this power straight away. You normally won't want to just progress to push to get this power, because even though it does make Sauron stronger, it only makes him stronger, and it's forcing yourself into streamlining to a power where you could get more diversity. For example, you can get his deadliest servants, or you can get reinforcements from Rune and Harad. You can boost your orc production. You can get an army-wide damage and armor buff. You can just get so many different powers. All of Mordor's powers are really good. So getting these two really quickly, I typically get them only if I need the extra level. But I think some players that play a bit more aggressively might want to have an extra power from tier 3 just to keep the ball rolling. So I'm actually going to put this in the D tier. Not because it's difficult, just because it can take a long time to get it. And if you push yourself to get it, you might fall a bit behind if you get it too early. This next one, probably one of your last levels for Sauron, because it is quite expensive, is to get a Castellan Dol Guldur from the Dol Guldur outpost, or get a unit of Morgul Riders from the Minas Morgul outpost. Mostly because of how expensive they are, it's not the most productive to get them like the first 5 levels. You want to try and get them as the last 2 or 3 levels for Sauron. Definitely a good investment in your money, because Castellans are amazing hero killers. They're probably the best unit at killing Imlarge's infantry, and the Morgul Riders are just perfect in almost every instance. They're the Knights of Dol Amroth for Mordor, and that's saying a lot. But so I'm going to give this the C tier. Not quite D tier, but it is definitely not one you will get early on. very easy to do, but it is very expensive. You need to keep that in mind when doing this. And now we're back to the Nazgul, because this next one is recruit all the Nazgul. This is probably the hardest achievement to get, but if you do it, you'll feel so much much satisfaction just from doing it. So you need to get both of the 1400 Nazgul, the Shadow Lord and Dark Marshal, and the Black Riders from your citadel. You need to get both the Minas Morgul and Dol Guldur outposts, and get both the Witch King and Khamul. It's the most expensive investment you will make. It will make you an entire battalion, kind of really powerful cavalry or infantry, or in the case of the Witch King and Khamul, when you give them their armour, they can fly on their fell beasts, which is very, very strong, but very, very expensive. And it will probably never happen in a normal game, unless you really have the money to just dump it all into these Nazgul. But if you do, you're going to get a lot of good times out of it. Still, it gets the D tier. It's far too difficult to recommend doing this at any stage in your game. You do it only for the style points. That is it. Otherwise, by that time, you should have Sauron level 10 already by the time you get all the Nazgul. Next we have recruit 15 units of orcs. Now, I had to do a bit of testing on this, a bit of background testing, because I originally believed you had to have 15 units of the exact same battalion. I have now confirmed that is not the case. You just need 15 units of orcs. It could be orc warriors from your main base in Mordor. It could be Minas Morgul orcs. It can be Dol Guldur orcs. It can be swordsmen. It can be pikemen. I have done the testing and it has come up clean. I have my answer on this one because I've had a bit of controversy with this particular achievement in the past, where I've always thought, oh, I have to have 15 units of this exact unit to make it happen. I have now confirmed that is not the case. And even though I have done that, it is still quite a difficult thing to do because orcs are really cheap and very easily die. But you do not even have to have a full unit of orcs. These two orcs here still count as a full unit. So if you want to go bloodthirsty when you're doing another power, which we'll talk about later, if you want to do some bloodthirsty and just keep one orc alive, that will still count as a full battalion when it comes to getting this achievement. It is a C tier. It is not the easiest to do because you have to invest a lot of money into your command points, because you need at least 900 command points for that 15 units of orcs if it's all just warriors that are 60 command points each. But other than that, it's definitely not that difficult, but it is it's a long-term investment. You're going to get there in time. You just have to make sure you get there. For the next one, I'm keeping the tooltip up because I just want to read this out loud. Equip 4 archers with fire arrows or 3 trolls with troll armor. Now, that is a typo. It is not meant to say 3 trolls with troll armor. It is meant to be 4 trolls with troll armor. I have checked the Edain fandom Wikipedia. I have now proven why I've never managed to make this work in the past with trolls. It's because you need 4 trolls with armor. As you can see here, we have 4 trolls fighting over each other with armor, and I gained the level. You can also do this with fire arrows. It's a bit more expensive, but if you're not already getting the achievement over here, which we'll go over later, it's not a difficult one to go for, but it is a very big economical investment. Plus, you need to have Influence of Sauron on one of the 2 buildings to make it happen. So it's more of a late game achievement. It's definitely not going to be the easiest, but you could go an entire game without doing this. I have in the past. So I'm going to give this one another C. Next on the list, we have maintain 6 overseers. Now, the only way you get overseers is through the overseer power at tier 1, which is not difficult. You could just keep 6 of them around by getting 2 each time, keeping it at the back of the base, never using them, and then once you've used the power 3 times over, you've then got the achievement, which is pretty easy to do. But you want to have them in your army because of the buffs they give your orcs. They give a 50% damage and armor boost to orcs of Mordor, and then varying damage and armor boost on Dol Guldur and Minas Morgul. But definitely one of the easiest, definitely one of the ones you can do from the very beginning of the game. But because of how squishy the orcs that they maintain are, there is a good chance that they will die while just fighting, and you'll never actually get this achievement before the end of the game. You can speed this up by getting a bunch of tribute resource buildings over here. That decrease the cost of decrease the time of spellbook powers, which does give you the overseers quicker. So it's definitely going to be one of your first or your last, depending on how well you maintain the overseers. So that, for me, gives this a B grade. Definitely one of the easiest powers, and one that if you focus on it, it will give you another level, and that level might be what you need for Sauron. Another of your easiest achievements to complete is get a unit from a Cirith Ungol barracks. It can be any of the 3 units. It can be the Black Orc warriors, the archers, or the halberdiers after you give it the influence of Sauron. You just need one of them. You don't need to put a massive economical investment into them. It could be your first settlement. It can be your first money put into a unit because all of the orcs of Mordor are free. So putting an extra 500 into a 600 resource settlement building, it's not difficult. You can just do it straight away. It's definitely, in my opinion, A tier. Perfect way to start your game is do this, get the Nazgul, and then you can start upgrading your economy to go absolutely anywhere you want. This should be one of the first powers achievements that you complete. Next we have level a Great Siege Works to tier 3, which is not actually as hard as I originally thought. So when I was doing this, when I was originally planning this out, I thought, okay, this is a bit of an economical investment. You got to put a lot of time into it. But honestly, you don't. If you've already completed the Nazgul and the Cirith Ungol things, and you've then decided to use Influence of Sauron on the Great Siege Works instead, all you need are 2 Troll Catapults, and the Great Siege Works is already tier 3. It is 1,000 for both of these, but the Great Siege Works is only 400. So that's a total of 2,400 resources invested into giving Sauron a level. I was originally going to give this a C, but looking at the Edain wiki actually gave me a bit of insight as to how much you need to do for each. To get a tier 3 Great Siege Works, you need 2 Troll Catapults, 4 normal catapults, 5 siege towers, or 6 battering rams. Do any of those, and you've got your tier 6. Tier 6, you've got a free level for Sauron. So I'm going to give this a B tier. It is definitely one of the ones you can go for at the beginning if you like going siege. It personally, for me, I've never really done this, but I can see how some players will find this quite a good rushing point to help secure like an outpost, for example, against an enemy. It just gives you that extra push in that direction to actually make yourself stronger. Because getting that extra level puts you to tier 4, and if I'm not mistaken, looking at the Nazgul, at tier 4 you get your first upgrade. So doing that early on is not a bad idea. Definitely worth the B grade on that one. Thanks to the bloodthirstiness ability of the Mordor orcs, this next one is actually another one of the easiest in hindsight. But getting an orc unit to level 5 is no easy feat without bloodthirsty, because obviously, as I've already mentioned in the past, orcs are very squishy. They do not live long. But it can normally take up to just eating 3 whole orc units to get another orc warrior unit to level 5. That is what I did for this. It does sometimes vary for some reason, the experience gain that the orcs receive from eating other orcs. I don't fully understand what sets the boundary for the amount of experience they gain, but it feels like sometimes they can get an entire 3 levels from eating 1 orc unit, and sometimes they don't even get half a level. So it's something you don't really do at the beginning, because you need every orc alive to just hold back the enemy. But as you get to like the mid game, this is a good one to just strive for. Build a second barracks, have some orcs set up behind camp, give them all the stuff you need, then eat each other. Just keep eating each other until one of them reaches level 5. So this one gets, from me, it gets a C tier. I imagine some people might rush this a little bit faster. I imagine this could be something that gets rushed in PvP because obviously some players aren't as oppressive as the AI can be when it comes to attacking an enemy base. Now onto the penultimate achievement. We have level Gothmog or Mollok to level 5. I would have Mollok on the screen with me, but unfortunately I've managed to glitch him somehow. I paid the money for him, but somehow it was originally recruited as a troll and then he just wouldn't get recruited, so oh well. But getting either of these guys to level 5 is not that difficult. Gothmog you can get quite early on. Just have him run around the orcs, have him last hit things, and he will eventually level up to level 5. I think it took me just going back and forth between 2 warg layers about 10 times. So killing 20 wargs was enough to make him level 5, which is not a lot, considering what else you can do. Mollok is just as simple because he just can cut through massive waves of enemies without really having much difficulty. And then he can just get his leap before he gets to level 5, and then that's a quick way to get into level 5 is just by leaping onto the enemy. This one gets another B tier. And last but not least, we have Recruit for Trolls. Now, looking back, it actually makes a bit more sense as to why this should be upgrade 4 Trolls, because it says right here to recruit 4 Trolls. But the trolls you can recruit could be any trolls. They could be the mountain trolls, it could be the drummer trolls, it could be Mollok. They all count towards having trolls on the field. As long as 4 exist at once, you've got the achievement completed. So it's another pretty simple one. It can be a bit expensive, but you can decrease the cost of basic trolls to 560 if you have all slaughterhouses, and 840 for drummer trolls, again, if you have at least 6 slaughterhouses. It is quite a simple one. It's one that I have strived for early on in the past because it is a pretty simple one. So I would give this one another B tier. Quite a few B tiers, not as many C or D tiers, but overall you've got a nice hierarchy of powers, expansion of power quests to go for. I would say if I was to do them in order, do a specific order for them, I would do Nazgul, I would then do Cirith Ungol, I would then rush for an outpost if I know I'm on a map I can get an outpost. So that's 3 levels, putting up to level 4. I would then either get the troll catapult if I was pushing for another level, or I would just get extra economy so I could then pay for the trolls, and then also get Mollok and Gothmog about the same time, get them both to level 5 so he gets another level. At some point, I would just recruit a elite unit of some description. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say 5. 6 if we're getting close. 7 if I actually go for the trolls. 8 if I can maintain all the overseers throughout the battles that I'm waging. And then last power will either be getting 15 Orc Hordes around, just having them alive long enough. Or, if I didn't have this completed already, I would influence on the Troll Cage next, just to give the Trolls I had some armor if they'd lived long enough. You can, at any point also, instead of going for the Trolls and Mollok or Gothmog, go any other direction. The choices are in your court. I hope you've all enjoyed this. I hope it's been a educational video on how structured you can play as Mordor. You've got lots of different choices. You don't all have to do all of them because obviously he only gets to level 10. You can't do more than level 10. You've got a total of, I believe, 13 quests. I believe I got that number correctly. Yep, 13 quests to choose from. So you can go the entire game without doing a total of 4 of them. And the 4 you'd probably never do in most campaigns, most battles, will be getting all the ring wraiths, getting a level 5 Orc Horde unless you're focusing on getting a level 5 Orc Horde. You can sometimes go about getting the Great Siege Works, although I'm definitely one of those people. And then Power Class stages, Hammer of the Underworld, you can go without. But I would say another one you can go without would be the Elites. But anyway, that is everything. I'm just rambling now for no reason. See you guys. Bye.